Eric Lucan voting no. The next item on the agenda is the urgency item, which is the request for us to, as a council, to send a letter to the City of Centerville requesting that they take the lead in resubmitting an application to the FRA for quiet zones on behalf of the City of Novato, the county, as well as the City of Centerville. Eric, would you like to talk about the issue?
Yeah, just to add a little context for those that are viewing, and also just all of us here. As everybody's aware, this council made it a priority to pursue a quiet zone before the start of commuter service. We initiated that process with the notice of our intent back in June. As we've been going through the process, some things have come to our attention later on in the process. One in particular, a pedestrian crossing in Hamilton that would not be able to be included in the quiet zone that we had originally applied for. At the same time, there's a gap in between what would be the Novato quiet zone and the San Rafael quiet zone within the county area where under the current process that we're working towards, there also wouldn't be a quiet zone in those areas. And there's a potential that as the train is sounding its horn, as it's coming into Novato, that sound can bleed over into our neighborhoods. And then also from SMART's operational capacity, they have expressed some concerns about having this sort of Swiss cheese protocol where they sound the horn in one place, then they don't sound the horn, and then they sound it again. So all that being said, there's been a lot of conversation that have been had about what other solutions are there out there for us to look at. I'm very grateful that it sounds like the City of San Rafael, and through the leadership of Mayor Phillips, is willing to consider a quiet zone from San Rafael all the way to Novato that would cover both of our jurisdictions and the gap in between. But in order to proceed with that, one jurisdiction would need to be the lead agency. So that's why I'm bringing this urgent item tonight, that we would send a letter to San Rafael, as was requested by the mayor of San Rafael yesterday, that we do so that they can make this decision on Monday, October 3rd at their council meeting. I do want to be very clear that we are requesting, we are asking of them. They still need to vet this through their council and through their community and make the determination to do this. We are simply putting the request before them, and I feel the end result could actually be a win-win for the entire Marin segment of these quiet zones. So time really is of the essence, because there is a timeline set out by FRA on how to establish a more comprehensive quiet zone, and in order to get everything lined up by the start of service and also to accommodate San Rafael, who would be accommodating us, we need to make the decision to send a letter or not tonight so that they can consider it on Monday, October 3rd. So I hope that provides some context. I'd be more than glad to answer any additional questions if I can, but that's really the request that's before us tonight.
Okay. I'd like to have any questions from council. First, Mayor Pro Tem Mathis.
No questions.
Councilmember Drew.
Well, I'm sorry, Eric. I don't quite understand.
You need to speak into the microphone.
I don't quite understand the effect of San Rafael being the lead agency. Would they have the final say-so on our quiet zones, and we wouldn't, or would we still have the same amount of authority as we have now? We would just simply have a combined 2 sets of quiet zones in one agency.
That will probably be better answered by Kathy.
So as we've been kind of exploring this idea, the item, what basically would occur in order to create a comprehensive quiet zone for all of Marin County, both the City of Novato and the City of San Rafael would have to rescind their current notice of intent. And then we would have to submit a new notice of intent that would be a new quiet zone that would cover all of San Rafael, the gap in between, and Novato. So that then would be resubmitted, and there would be a new circulation for the 60 days. And then there would be the final notice of establishment needs to occur. So you can only have one agency apply. So I think the way this would is if the request is asking San Rafael to apply and be the lead agency, and I think there would be some details we would need to work through. I think the interest is that each agency, so the city here in Nevada, we would still be responsible for what happens within our jurisdictional boundaries, whatever maintenance, whatever risk management, whatever indemnification issues, those would be ours, and we would need to work those through both with SMART and potentially with San Rafael. So there are probably some agreements that would need to be clarified as we would go through this, but you can only have one agency be the originator of creating that notice of intent.
Any other questions, Councilmember Drew?
No.
Okay, Councilmember Friday, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
And I do have a couple of questions, Kathy. Why isn't this a joint application?
You're not able to do a joint application, is what we've been told by FRA. You can only have one agency apply. And just conceptually, I mean, again, we have explored a variety of other ideas, waivers, and different things, trying to figure out a solution for the Hamilton Ped Crossing. And in terms of if we are going to make this request, San Rafael, for all, we're making a request for them to reopen their notice of intent. Only one agency can do that, and they would want to retain control of that process. So if we're asking them a favor, only one agency could do it, and my assumption is they're going to want to retain, and that's the brief conversation, kind of a conceptual conversation a number of weeks ago I had with the city manager, just, if there was, but at this point, it was like an idea, but there was nothing, no one was ready to come forward, and it wasn't anything real.
A couple of comments. It's my understanding also that if an agency is filing a notice of intent covering areas outside that agency's jurisdiction, the other jurisdictions must in writing consent to the request to establish a quiet zone and to issue the notice of intent. So we are going to, as the county will too, given there's a gap in the county that is also being covered by this proposal, each one of our agencies will have to consent. And that means that we will, as a city, have an opportunity to review whatever conditions and terms, et cetera, that San Rafael wishes to impose upon its establishment of the quiet zone. And if we don't agree with those, then we will not consent. So it's not a relinquishment entirely of our authority, because we will grant the authority to act on our behalf only if we agree with the terms and conditions under which San Rafael is proposing to proceed.
And that consent, Jeff, is given after the city of San Rafael, if they were to agree to be the lead agency. And would it also be after we would withdraw our
I'm not sure of the timing of the consent.
Okay, and by taking this action tonight, we are not withdrawing our pending application.
We are not at this point. We are making the request to San Rafael, asking them if they will consider filing a comprehensive quiet zone for the county overall. What I see, if this is on the October 3rd agenda for San Rafael, then I think we would place an item on our October 4th meeting, potentially, if there's any update or action that could occur the following day, because otherwise we would be waiting till the 11th, and there could be an update that could come out of the Monday meeting.
Well,
Excuse us for a second.
yeah. So it's kind of odd that if they're meeting on October 3rd, we wouldn't be able to get anything into the agenda for the October 4th meeting, and maybe there's just a quick update, but...
If there's critical, I don't know what the San Rafael Council might do on the 3rd. It may agree and then have 475 conditions, including payment to San Rafael $45 million.
Okay.
I'm exaggerating, of course. But the point I'm making is that there may be some conditions that we would need to react to, and the next night may not be, we may not have sufficient time to examine the conditions. But we can always schedule a special meeting if the council is available to do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
and we
sounds
could also just provide an update of what occurred at the October 3rd, and then again, if we need to do a special meeting, as Jeff is saying, or if we need to schedule something for the October 11th, there's the sequence, but they may have questions and information they need from SMART. They may have information from us. And just the one other thing I would say is that in terms of the letter itself, if council is considering this, you might want to have the letter signed by both the mayor and Eric as the SMART representative, so it's coming under both signatures. Just an idea in terms of the letter itself, and then if council does want to do the letter, we would draft that, and obviously need to get it to San Rafael in time to make their agenda process, which I don't know what that is, but that's got to be within the next 48 hours.
And then will the county of Marin also need to send a request to San Rafael?
There will also need to be some coordination there.
So they're not meeting between now and Monday, so.
I think this action gets the ball formally rolling, and then there's a variety of pieces with a number of different agencies that potentially have to come together that all need to be lined up, and that's going to take some orchestration if San Rafael is open to considering.
And we're doing this because we did find out that the pedestrian crossing, that FRA and the PUC will not allow us to end our application at that pedestrian crossing, correct?
That's correct. So right now, the Hamilton pedestrian crossing at state access is not included in the quiet zone, and we have not been able to figure out any other political waiver or any other way around that other than to redo and create a master quiet zone for the county. In addition, I think also the area outside of our jurisdiction in Marin County, as the horns are blowing through that private property on those private crossings at St. Vincent, et cetera, that noise is coming back and impacting some of our residents as well in Marin Valley. So, the reality is we saw this a couple of weeks ago when SMART was doing a lot of their testing. It was a very clear night, and the noise bounced all over town, and there were a variety of concerns and complaints that we received. The noise doesn't know jurisdictional boundaries. And the thing about these quiet zones, once they're in place, once they're in place, they are very difficult to change because you have to do a do-over. You have to stop, and the horns would then blow, and then it takes almost 90 days to put them back in place. So the reality is, we still potentially have an opportunity to have a comprehensive quiet zone, which is the long-term right answer for the county overall and all of our residents. It's the right policy solution. And if we can potentially, with the graciousness of our partners in San Rafael, make this happen, working with SMART, and FRA is also very supportive. They want to see a comprehensive quiet zone because it makes it safer, and they think it's better for the operators, and SMART does as well. So there's a potential to do a win-win. We've just got some real timing challenges to see what we can do.
And the other question I have is that we're also doing this because did we find out whether or not we could end the crossing at the private crossing at Las Colinas? Did we get an answer from the FRA and the PUC on that?
We cannot stop at any private crossing. It has to be a public at grade.
Okay, great. That answers all my questions, and I will open up for public comment. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak to the council on this urgent item? Seeing none, then I'll close the public comment period and bring this back to the council. I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we send a letter to the city of San Rafael requesting that they look at a comprehensive quiet zone on our behalf and behalf of the whole area.
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any comments on the motion? Councilmember Drew?
I want to send out a really big thank you to Kathy for continuing to work on this, to Eric Lucan for bringing it to us tonight, particularly to Mayor Gary Phillips. Mayor Gary Phillips is really going out of his way to help us in this matter. And I, for one, truly appreciate it. And I want to thank Russ also for all of his efforts.
Okay, a question on the motion, though. Should the letter be signed by the mayor and the SMART representative, Councilmember Lucan, or do you think the mayor's signature is fine?
I'd be more than glad to sign it if it works out from a timing standpoint, as well as
But
you,
we
of
need the
course.
motion to include who signs it as well. So-
I think you should sign it, and I could co-sign it, or complimentary sign it.
Okay, so your motion is amended to reflect that?
Yes.
Okay, and the seconder?
Yes.
Okay, Kathy?
May I just ask one other question? It also, I think, and Eric, maybe you can comment on this. Since their meeting is on Monday, I'm wondering if it might be good to have a representative of the council actually present and ask, with a public comment, or whether they're going to consider that, to be there to answer any questions. And again, as staff, I'm happy to be there as well and answer any questions that we can do. But that may be another way too. So I don't know if what your thoughts are on that, Eric.
Based on whatever our final action is tonight, I think it would be worth it, reaching out to Mayor Phillips, which is something I was planning to do, to ask him. Obviously, they're accommodating us, and I want to be careful in how we either
Agreed.
show up or not show up, or show up and be quiet, or show up and talk. And so that's something that I'd probably reach out to him, and if he does ask that it would be helpful to speak, then I would run that through the mayor to see if she is available to do that on our behalf, and if not, then ask others to participate.
Yeah,
I just
I'm
wanted-
available if that's needed, but I think that Councilmember Lucan is correct that we really need to follow the lead of what Mayor Phillips thinks would be helpful. If he thinks it would be helpful, I'd be glad to go.
I agree. I just wanted to raise the question because if council doesn't bless a council member going to another body, I'm not sure that within our rules that you could do that per se. So I just wanted to make sure if that is something that feels right. I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that was, we didn't have a trip here.
Jeff, could you please address that issue?
I think what council's discussing right now is fine. If any council member has an objection to the mayor and/or Mr. Lucan appearing at the San Rafael Council meeting, this is the time to raise your objection.
Okay, are there any objections? Okay, seeing none then. So are there any other comments on my left? No? Okay, then I do have a comment. That is, I wanted to thank Councilmember Lucan for following up on this. When I had requested back in September of 2015 that we submit the application early and actually work with the City of San Rafael and the county to do so early, because having worked for the feds for over 4 decades, things happen. I'm glad that we're able to at least pursue this, but it's the 11th hour and time is ticking, and really concerned about making sure that the quiet zones get established as soon as possible, because a whole year of testing is something that the community has never said that they needed, especially the horns going off at 5:30 or 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning for people who generally don't get up to 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. So, Laura, could you please call the vote on the letter?
Councilmember Drew?
Aye.
Councilmember Friday?
Aye.
Councilmember Lucan?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Athos?
Aye.
Mayor Eklund?
Aye. And again, Councilmember Lucan, thank you very much for bringing this
Thank you
forward.
to the whole council.
The next item on the agenda is